Now we have Chris Sedgwick from the New South Wales Fire Brigade on the line. Chris, what can you tell us at this stage?
We're talking about the fire down at Engadine. I'm in what's called our Major Incident Control Centre right now. I'm looking at it up on the big screen. We've got a fairly serious fire down there, I'm afraid. We've got 15 of our stations committed to the property protection down in that area. Rural Fire Service are lending assistance, of course. They've got many units down there working with us. I'm afraid to say we've lost a number of houses.
A number of houses, Chris.
Yes.
That's so more than just a couple.
Yes, I'm afraid so. Earlier I could confirm one, but I think we're up to 2 confirmed lost and a number on fire and a few more threatened with fire. We've got a number of evacuations in the area. There are street closures by the police, and we're asking all motorists to stay well clear of the Engadine area if they possibly could, please.
Now, is that fire reasonably well contained, or is it spreading?
Yeah, no, at this stage it's not contained. It is spreading. This wind's not helping. But, as I said, we're bringing in more and more resources to try and contain it, or at least protect the property.
When did this fire break out?
It broke out earlier this afternoon, just after lunchtime. But it's steadily been growing, and it's jumped a number of from ridge to ridge.
Do you have any idea of how it started?
No, not at this stage.
Because it has been a very hot afternoon in Sydney, and of course the winds have been gathering in strength. It's very difficult, I suppose, to say whether this might have started by natural causes or whether in fact it could even be a case of arson.
Yeah, no, it's too early to say, I'm afraid, John. Look, we've got, we had 47 incidents on our computers, fires in the outer western suburbs. So we've got a number of fires burning right around Sydney. We've got another serious one out in the Castlereagh area where a number of houses have been damaged, not lost, but damaged by fire. The fire is still spreading. Rural Fire Service are trying to send in more tankers there with our units to try and contain it. But it's a very fast-spreading bush and grass fire. And as you said, with this wind behind it, it's managing to outrun us at the present time.
So at this stage then, it's going to take probably several hours, if not until tomorrow, to bring some of these fires under control.
Well, we're hoping to be able to bring most of them under control this evening. Once the air cools and the wind drops with night, we should be able to get on top of them. But they will still burn overnight, of course, particularly stumps and logs within the burnt-out area. But, yeah, we're hoping to knock them on the head by midnight. But they're bushfires, part of Australia, and I'm afraid we can't control them that easily.
Yeah, Chris, Engadine, of course, is one of those areas which is somewhat prone to bushfires, and I suppose it should come as no surprise when we do get bushfires in this part of Sydney.
No, that's right, John. I mean, we've got a lot of gullies there, a lot of creeks, very high ridges with property on top of the ridges. Of course, they're taking advantage of their views and so forth, but these fires spread very quickly up the ridges, and they can not only endanger the houses at the top of the ridge, but they also jump from that ridge straight over the road into the next gully, and away it goes again. And that's why we've got 3 streets under pressure instead of 1.
All right, Chris Sedgwick, thank you very much indeed for giving us as much information as you have to hand at this stage.
I thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Now, on the line now we have Cameron Wade from the Rural Fire Service, and I'm sure he'll be able to bring us up to date with fires right around New South Wales at this stage. Cameron, what can you tell us?
Guy, can you hear me?
Cameron Wade, can you hear me? No, we haven't quite got him on the line. He will be here shortly, but we can see these pictures coming in now, and you can see the way in which this house is in fact burning. These pictures coming to us live from the Engadine area, and as Chris Sedgwick from the Metropolitan Brigade was saying earlier, these fires are almost impossible to stop once that wind gets up and they start leaping from ridge to ridge. Now, Cameron Wade from the Rural Fire Service, what information do you have now on the number of fires around the state, in particular around the Sydney area?
For the moment, we have in excess of 70 fires across New South Wales. The ones in the Sydney area causing us the most problems at this stage, specifically Engadine and out at Berkshire Park. At the moment, a lot of fire crews trying to get into the Engadine fire. It's burning up through valley systems around there and threatening a large number of properties in the area. Yes,
Chris Sedgwick from the New South Wales Fire Brigade was saying that he's aware that at least 2 houses have been destroyed. From the pictures we're seeing, we'd have to say that the number would probably be greater than that. There would have to be several homes destroyed in that area.
At the moment, I'm driving along one of the roads in the area. I only have a visual contact with at least one home that has been destroyed. But as we progress, possibly two, yes, definitely two homes. So at this stage, we're still counting the losses from this fire at Engadine.
Cameron, do you have any idea of what caused these fires? As you say, 70 fires right around the state. Have they been accidental? Have there been lightning strikes? Do you know what started them?
The fires we've had burning across New South Wales, a large number of them have been burning for over a week, with some lightning strikes that came through some time ago, about a week ago. These new fires, no lightning in the area, so we've got to put this down to human intervention of some sort, be it accidental or deliberate.
And what advice now do you have for people in the Engadine area? We know that a number of homes have been evacuated and some residents have been taken to the Engadine Bowling Club. Are you advising people to get out of the area or to stay with their homes?
At the moment, if their home is properly prepared, it's probably better for them to stay with their home, although they must follow any instructions from police or fire crews on the ground.
So to use common sense, basically, if they think they're going to be in danger, just get out.
That's correct.
And the fires in the other parts of away from Sydney, of course, you mentioned a number of rural areas. Are any of those threatening properties at this stage?
As far as we're aware at this stage, they're not. There is some potential for some fires up in the Tenterfield area to threaten properties. But at this stage, we've had no confirmed reports that's actually the case.
And you mentioned to Sydney's west, Berkshire Park. I think Terry Galloway, our reporter, was also talking about the Castlereagh-Windsor area. I guess we're talking about much the same area here, are we? Just different names.
That is the same fire. We have a fire running through the bushland areas, particularly around Berkshire Park and Windsor Downs. Number of properties threatened. We understand 3 homes have been damaged, but certainly no losses at this point in time.
OK, Cameron Wade, thanks very much for that.
No problem at all.
And as we continue to see these pictures coming in from Engadine, we can see exactly the problem that's facing firefighters there as the winds drive the flames up through gullies and into the roofs of houses. Little hope of saving these homes there that we're seeing on screen at the moment. Terry Galloway, what's the latest you have on the fires out west?
Well, John, that fire in the Berkshire Park area, as Cameron said, I believe there are only a number of houses damaged. It's a very dangerous situation because there is a lot of open bushland in there, and it's a relatively flat area. I believe it's centred on Berkshire Park. Windsor Downs is slightly to the northwest of that. To the northeast of Berkshire Park is actually the RAAF's drop zone in the Landila area where they practice dropping missions with the Hercules and Caribou aircraft. And it's in that area that there is perhaps a 30 to 40 kilometre belt of fresh timber. Very tinder dry at the moment. Everything underfoot is dry. The very grass you walk on is crackling at the moment because of the low humidity and the very high temperatures being experienced.
Now, Terry, if we just hold on the line there for a moment. We have a resident of the Heathcote area in Sydney South on the line. Michelle, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Michelle, what's the situation that you can see there?
Well, from here, we've got a fair bit of smoke in the air. Not too bad as yet. You can smell it. The winds are really gusting quite high at times. And, yeah, the humidity is just zero. It's just so dry.
When did you first notice the smoke and the first signs of this fire?
Well, I noticed it about 2 hours ago, and I called my aunt, who lives about a kilometre from where the houses are burning right now, and she's trying to get out at the moment to come to our house.
So it's been going for a couple of hours, and of course, in this time, the winds have been getting stronger, and as you say, there's no humidity. Conditions must be very dry and very difficult for firefighters.
It's unbelievable. I can only think, all we've heard for the last hour and a half is just the constant sound of fire engines coming up Heathcote Road, coming up the freeway. They're coming in from everywhere, and that's all we can hear at the moment. Of
course, we know that that's an area that is prone to bushfires. Have people in the area taken precautions? Do you heed the warnings and clear away trees from your houses, all that sort of thing?
Well, we live directly on the bush, so we're actually controlled by the national parks and by what we can clear away. But you take the normal precautions. You clear your gutters, you get everything ready that you need to take with you in case you are evacuated at a moment's notice.
Yeah, we're just looking at pictures now coming in of firemen battling a fire in one house, which obviously has been destroyed by this fire. Yeah. It's going to be heartbreaking, I think, for a lot of people down there, for a number of families down there, and particularly, of course, being school holidays.
Yeah, I can only imagine what these families are going through right now, and I'm sure the firefighters are doing an amazing job.
Now, is the fire going away from you at the moment? It's not heading towards you, I hope?
I believe it's actually heading towards us, but it has to cross Heathcote Road before it does reach us.
So that'll form a natural fire break unless those winds become really strong.
Hopefully, yes.
All right, Michelle, thank you, and we'll wish you luck. Stay in touch.
Thanks very much.
Now, Terry Galloway, we heard there from Michelle at Heathcote that the winds are indeed pushing those fires along, so it's going to be pretty difficult.
It will be, John, and it should be borne in mind that just 12 months ago, a little less than 12 months ago, about 9 months ago, that Heathcote area was very, very much the threat from the last bushfires, the dreadful 22 days that Sydney suffered over the Christmas, Sydney and New South Wales suffered over the Christmas period. So we did get a warning some months ago that the regeneration of the bushland that was affected in those last fires is almost complete. And of course this combination of current drought, hot, dry and windy conditions has just sparked it again. Looking over at the Berkshire Park fire, the Windsor Downs fire, still a huge amount of smoke in that area. Smoke drifting across. The wind is blowing directly from the west at the moment. As I said, gusting probably up to 60 kilometres an hour, averaging around about 30 to 40 kilometres an hour.
And the worry, of course, Terry, is, as Cameron Wade said earlier, that a number of these fires must have started through some form of what he termed human intervention, whether it was deliberate arson or just carelessness.
Human intervention is exactly right, John. Fires in these current conditions don't just start by themselves. There have been no lightning strikes, there's been no lightning activity in this area. So someone with a careless cigarette, a careless barbecue perhaps, even a spark from the catalytic converter on a car can cause fires. And once this wind gets under it, then there's really no stopping it under these present conditions. And of course I should reiterate, John, that people in the face of the fire should take the normal precautions, block their gutters, clear away all leaves and undergrowth, fill the gutters with water and stand by with necessary equipment and necessary personal belongings to get out if they feel they are under threat.
Yeah, now Terry, you're heading towards the Windsor Downs, Berkshire Park area, aren't you?
I am.
And does it look as if that fire is increasing in intensity?
John, the smoke hasn't exactly moved all that much that I can see from my current vantage point, but it is over a very wide area and very dense and thick smoke, so it's hard to tell what's happening right within the fire itself at the moment. But from past experience of fires in that area, I can tell you that the flames race along very, very rapidly because it is basically eucalypt country, and as we know, eucalypt contain about 20% oil, and once they get into that, it is an oil-fed fire, actually, from the trees itself. And
also, being a fairly new, fairly recent housing development out there, I would imagine that there'll be a lot of young families there. There'll be people who have no experience of bushfires either.
They're very, very expensive houses in that Windsor Downs estate. As I mentioned before, I think it's a minimum of 1 acre site, so there is a fair piece of land around each of the homes. But it is set in a very pleasant bushland setting. Trees grow right up alongside the houses. There are no actually flattened, cleared blocks. As you see in many new housing estates, the trees are there. The fuel is there for fires to strike.
OK, Terry Galloway, thank you very much indeed. And just recapping that news, that there are now something over 70 fires burning around New South Wales. The fires causing greatest concern are at Engadine in the south of Sydney and out towards Richmond, the Berkshire Park, Windsor Downs area, housing development to the city's west. Houses have been destroyed at Engadine. At least 2 have been confirmed destroyed, and houses have probably been damaged out around Windsor Downs. So we'll keep you up to date with the latest on that information. We're staying in touch with the Rural Fire Service and the New South Wales Fire Brigade, and we'll be bringing you the latest as soon as we get that. Now to other news, and President George W. Bush has called
almost impossible for civilian vehicles. I do have a bit of an update on the situation down at in the Engadine area. I've been speaking to people from Bushfire Control, and I understand up to 9 homes could have been lost in that area. Still too early to tell. But back here in the Berkshire Park area, of course, the major housing developments are the Windsor Downs development and the Blythe Park development, all on the outskirts of the centre of Windsor and Richmond, and the fire still continues to burn out of control. Weather conditions out here, very, very hot, very, very dry. I'm told now that the relative humidity is down to about 9%, and that is extremely low, and this mirrors the conditions that we went through just 9 months ago during the bushfires of Christmas New Year.
Now, Terry, you mentioned that as many as 9 houses may have been destroyed in the Engadine area. We were told earlier that a number of people have been evacuated in that region, that they were going to the Engadine bowling club. Also, apparently, the local RSL club is taking a number of evacuees. So, clearly, a large number of homes around the south of Sydney, around Engadine, have been evacuated by now, some 3 to 4 hours after those fires started.
I believe up to 100 people are at the Engadine RSL at the moment. Of course, a lot of these people are commuters to Sydney for work. Many of the houses are empty. Of course, it's school holidays, so a lot of people are away. And I understand that as people leave hear of the problem, leave their work and head back there, they can't get back into their homes, so they're making towards these evacuation centres. So far in the Bushfire Park, Landalo, Windsor area, no evacuations as such, my understanding, but there has been some property damage in as much as a number of sheds and outbuildings have been destroyed. No homes destroyed, some homes have been damaged.
OK, Terry Galloway, thank you very much, and we'll stay in touch, of course.
Thank you, John.
And just recapping on that information that Terry had there, that as many as 9 homes may now have been destroyed in the Engadine area in Sydney South. We'll stay in touch, of course, with Rural Fire Service officers, also with the fire authorities in Sydney itself, and keep you in touch with what's happening right around the state with those bushfires, as many as 70 bushfires around New South Wales burning this afternoon. We bring you the news, of course, on the hour, every hour, and I'll be back.
Berkshire Park in our northwest. Channel 10's Alison Blanksby is on the ground at Engadine. Alison, the families down there have put up a brave fight trying to save those homes today.
Oh, they have indeed, Ron. We are now a fairly safe distance away from those fires. You can probably see them in the background behind me, still belching thick, dense smoke. We were down there about 10 minutes ago, and it is absolute chaos. There are dozens of fire crew on the ground helping residents down there do whatever they can to try to save their homes. But the residents we spoke to said within the first half an hour, at least 4 to 5 homes had been lost. Conditions down there are just woeful. There are thick, strong winds, that thick choking smoke as well. It's very difficult to breathe when you're on those streets. The main street we went to down there that's perhaps been hardest hit so far is Thilgona Road in Engadine, and while there are still residents down there fighting now to save their homes, they believe at least 8 or 9 have already lost the battle. It's really quite despairing stuff, but that battle is far from over. We spoke a short time ago to one of those residents who did lose his home. Here's what he had to say.
They're 2 doors or 3 doors down from my place. It started to smoulder in the backyard, so I ran down there. He's an elderly fellow and his wife's not real well, so I went down to see if I could help, and by the time I got down there and got hoses sorted out, the fire was right around me. I was in the middle of his backyard, and with no rain, everything's dry. All I could do was turn the hose on myself and run. That was when I came up and tried to do a little bit at the back of my place, but it was just too late. My wife was already out, thank God. The sons are at a cousin's place staying there for a couple of days.
How quickly did your place go?
It went real quick. Yeah, it was a matter of minutes.
And how long have you lived here for? What have you lost?
We've lost everything apart from a couple of baskets of washing that my wife could gather up.
That house went off and the wall fell in on mine, and it's knocked the end in, but at least it saved it. Yeah.
How worried are you for your own home?
Very. The shed got alight, and it was alight all the way up the side there, and the flames were going right into the side of the house. But luckily they managed to get the big hose down there just about when it got to the worst stage.
I was standing on the roofs of the houses before earlier, and the 2 houses next to me just went straight up in flames. It is incredible. I've never seen it. This is shit. Just come up so quick, I didn't know what was going on. Out the back to the hoses, did what I could. So much smoke, hardly breathe.
We've lost 4 straight away. I've only been in this section, so 2 have been saved. 2 that way are gone.
Terrible heartbreak for these Engadine residents. Alison, we'll come back to you shortly as our ongoing coverage of the bushfires throughout this hour.
OK, Ron.
And flames roaring through Sydney's northwest have also caused major concern for firefighters. Rural brigades tackling at least 75 hectares of land ablaze at Landilo and Berkshire Park. At one stage, the flames were tearing towards a housing estate. Traffic is building in the area. Several roads have been closed. The major thoroughfares affected include Richmond Road and Landilo Road. Windsor Road is also under severe pressure.
Yes, we're going to go back down to Engadine right now, where the fire is blazing out of control. We have reports of at least 10, perhaps 12 homes already destroyed there. Cameron Wade is with Rural Fire Services. He's on the ground there. Cameron, the number of houses actually destroyed at this stage, we're hearing conflicting reports. Have you got any confirmation?
At the moment, Ron, been through the situation there. We've counted at least 10. Certainly, we're keeping a close eye on the fire. It's progressing now towards Kingswood Road in Engadine. But at this stage, I can confirm 10 homes in Thalgona Place, as we mentioned before.
Cameron, I think I've actually read a quote from you this afternoon which said most of these fires are the result of human activity. I'm assuming you're just talking about pure arson here.
Well, certainly we need to look into it, Ron. At the moment, there's no real natural causes for these fires, no lightning around the place at the moment.
And a correlation with school holidays.
Absolutely. So we'll be certainly investigating this one. Unfortunately, it caused so much damage, so this will be a major concern for investigation at this point in time.
Now, these are a lot of small, windy streets and quite rugged terrain down there. Can you give us an idea of where the fire is actually heading at this time?
As I mentioned, Ron, it's heading towards Kingswood Road, Engadine, and you're right in saying it's a very tight streets, lots of hilly area, a real problem to get fire trucks in there. At the moment, some 20 fire trucks from the Rural Fire Service and 10 from New South Wales Fire Brigades, plus 3 helicopters now working on this fire.
We'll let you back to the fight. Cameron Wade with Rural Fire Services at Engadine.
And Tim Bailey, these freak weather conditions are really fueling these blazes.
Freak is the right word for it, Jess, not overstating the case one little bit. Yes, we've got 12-degree above average temperatures today, 34 degrees the mercury hit, at the moment still 32. The very dry west-northwest, hot winds at 30 k an hour, fanning these blazes. Add to that some of the lowest relative humidity on record, down around about 8% at the moment, which is on par to relative humidity we had during the horror Christmas bushfire run. Look, while the weather is the enemy at the moment, it could turn saviour later tonight. We're looking at a change, no moisture in the change, but certainly a wind swing that will take the winds from the west back round to the southwest, and that will drop temperatures to maximums of around about 21 tomorrow, 13 less than we saw in today's scorcher. 70 bushfires across New South Wales burning at the moment. We really do need that southerly change. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Tim. We'll continue with our bushfire coverage throughout this hour. For the moment, though, let's go to other news.